Welcome to Beyond the Raise podcast, where we get under the hood of founder scaling stories. Will and I are lucky enough to have with us Rowan Dixon, co-founder and CEO of Tewke. Welcome to the podcast, Rowan. How are you doing?
Very good to be here. I'm very well today. It's
Good
unfortunately not
stuff.
particularly sunny outside, but hopefully
No,
it will be soon.
that's the UK for you, right? Cool. Well, look, so what we generally do sort of straight away is just sort of get into a little bit about the business, just in terms of painting a bit of a picture. So in a sentence or two, what does your company do?
Yeah, so very briefly, we basically make probably the most advanced home automation and energy saving devices that there are on the planet. We've been likened to Apple by sort of leading tech publications such as T3. And our flagship product is an OLED touchscreen light switch that can fully automate your home. It can directly control 3 lighting circuits, but obviously that can be linked together with loads of other ones of our devices. So at the press of a button, you can do things like set your speakers to a certain volume, control your heating, set it to like 22 Celsius, control your lighting. Just sort of brings full home automation, makes it very accessible to everyone. It's also saving about 30% off of people's energy bills at home.
Wow. Okay. I mean, it looks very slick, I got to
Thank
say.
you. The photo behind me is obviously not to scale with my head. It's 90 by 90 millimeters in size.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, when I was going through the website, you've got a nice video as you first go on your homepage. It is a very nice, slick piece of hardware there for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think, yeah, but, I've read the Steve Jobs Apple book, and he's an absolute kick, really focused on the product and what it looks like, and very hard guy to please. Has it been difficult to get to that model there, or were you sort of quite on that right from the start?
Well, we have a fantastic team at Tewke. We have some of the greatest sort of engineers in London, at least, especially in embedded software and cloud computing. And then we have amazing designers as well. So Piers, who's our CEO, he's worked with our head designer for about 15 years, maybe 20 years now. And that designer, he's worked on some of like the biggest projects for companies like Sony and Coca-Cola over the years in terms of design. So we're really, really lucky to have some amazing talent within our company.
Great. It's good to hear. It's hard to find, but it's worth the wait when you get it right.
It is indeed. And it's also like personalities as well. Who do you guys work well with? Who brings like that special energy to a team? And that's why you end up winning sort of international design awards. So Tewke Tap has won the Red Dot Design Award, which is kind of like, I don't know, it's quite like the Oscars or the BAFTAs of the design world, but it's up there.
Wow. It's incredible, especially so early on in the journey.
Yeah.
So what, just in terms of the reason why it exists, so what was it you guys felt was not there, or what were you trying to solve that maybe was there because it wasn't very good? Where did it sort of all come from with you and Piers?
So the initial vision for Tewke comes from Piers. He's affectionately named himself the dreamer of the company. So we like to give ourselves sort of different titles. While I'm COO, my sort of internal name is the activator. I get stuff done. Piers built a massive telecoms company and sold it to private equity. And whilst in private equity, whilst in telecoms, he was exposed to how antiquated energy generation and consumption is in the UK, and how hard it is to predict energy usage. And he wants to tackle that. So if you look at it from the generation side, that's very complicated, lots of interchanges, etc. And you're dealing with sort of government level size institutions. And the initial idea was like, can we tackle that from the consumer side? And initially we wanted to be a software company. But it turns out that if you want to have great software, you've got to be really serious about hardware. And that's where our products came from. I had experience working on hardware whilst at Imperial College and then at Microsoft, and sort of then into our strengths, and we kind of went from there. And what we discovered was the vision was to be able to monitor and control all the energy in the home to deliver energy savings and cost savings. But as a virtue of doing that, what you end up doing is you end up delivering like an incredible home automation platform. One of the sort of, I guess, like, I wouldn't say it's a driving force, but one of our sort of backing principles is just because you're saving energy and being environmentally conscious shouldn't mean you have to have a colder home. And that's kind of the link that lots of people sort of are used to making. Like, if you want to save energy, like, you have to turn down your boiler. We think that's a ridiculous statement. You should be able to have a really nice, warm, comfortable home to live in, whilst also being able to save energy. And basically, the way we do that is by optimizing when and how energy is used, and giving a really beautiful, really intuitive interface to be able to do that. And also us being able to have a really good understanding of how people are living within their homes, and providing that data to those individuals so that they can make better informed decisions.
Wow. Okay. Sounds amazing. So what you've ended up with now, was that a sort of byproduct of what the original plan was then, or have I semi-misunderstood you there?
As in you work fast in a startup, so I can't remember quite exactly how it all came about, but pretty quickly we realized that the light switch is kind of like in the Goldilocks zone of the home. Everyone knows how to use it. It's well positioned normally within a room. It's the touch point. Everyone knows how to use it, right? A 95-year-old knows how to use a light switch. A 3-year-old knows how to use the light switch. So if you can make a product that can deliver huge amounts of functionality whilst also being as easy to use as a device that everyone's been using since the dawn of like electric light bulbs in the home, then we think we're onto a winner.
Yeah, 100% makes perfect sense.
Just on that, does the product itself, I mean, you're saying it's sort of automation. Are you also able to sort of override that? Or is it fully automated? It makes the decisions in terms of consumption for you? Or is it a combination of? Like, how does that work sort of practically?
So if we were to go in and tell people that we were going to control their lighting and their heating, no one would ever install us. And that's very much not what we do. So apologies if I've given that impression. That is where we might end up going down the road as we train the system and make the system better. For now, though, we provide really good notifications and insights into like what the current energy usage, what you're currently using with your home, pricing of the energy, the carbon intensity of the energy, whether there's going to be better times to use it later. So, for example, something that happened quite recently is that one of our customers went into they have a utility room, went to their utility room and was about to put a wash on, and our device detected that they were there, that they were going to probably put a wash on, and said, by the way, if you just wait 8 minutes, the price of electricity is going to halve. So we're making use of variable tariffs. So price of energy in the UK on the wholesale market changes every 30 minutes. Through companies like Octopus Energy, you can get that. And often that pricing, I say often, fairly regularly, that pricing goes negative. So there have been quite a few instances where our customers have made money by consuming energy that day. They've put on their tumble dryer, they've done washes, they've sort of done like a really sort of deep, the really deep hot cycle on their dishwasher to sterilize it.
Self-clean,
etc. And people charge up your electric car that day to 100% rather than just to like the 80% that you might normally do it. So you can get huge, huge benefits. And all the while you've got like this award-winning, beautiful, easy-to-use device that's like a joy to use, that you can show off to your friends, helping you save money, being better for the planet, and also sort of making your home more technologically advanced.
Yeah, very much a win-win.
No-brainer. Where do I buy one?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, our website, that's exactly where you can buy one.
There we go. So talk to us about, we'll come on to where the business is at in its current form, but take us back to the start. I mean, how long have you been with Tewke and what did it look like in those early days?
Yeah, so the very, very, very early days, Piers is the founder, like the main founder, sort of rattling around in his head. He exited his company to private equity. He has 2 daughters who are very young at the time. I guess he got the itch again to start going back into the startup world. So he'd sort of given that some pre-thought. He reached out to me online. I was working at Microsoft at the time. We went for a beer, got chatting. This is 6 years ago now. And we kind of went from there. He's got the business experience, sales experience, etc., building big companies, multi-million pound companies. And then I had a lot of the technical knowledge, and we just built up an amazing team around us and have continued going ever since.
Fantastic. So very quickly, there's 2 of you. And then at what point did you start to sort of scale the business, need more people to deliver this vision? And also, how did you go about that? Have you gone through some funding? Has it been organic growth? What did that generally look like?
So from day one, we had 3 people directly supporting us as employees. One of those people being the designer, who's the person who sort of envisioned this beautiful product. Obviously, it's a team effort, but put the pen to paper properly. And then we 2 other software engineers. And then we had sort of private small amounts of angel funding very early on. And then we did a proper like pre-seed round about a year and a half in. We raised £1.25 million in equity. And then very recently, we then closed a £1.5 million round to help us scale up and sort of accelerate. And unfortunately, as many founders will know, a lot of life is just, especially in UK and Europe, a lot of your time is spent fundraising. So new fundraising rounds are probably going to start fairly soon. And then we've also been very fortunate. We've written some great applications to get government grants as well. So we've had quite a few Innovate UK government grants. Politics change, governments change. So it was slightly easier under previous government. Now they're being, I think probably rightfully so, a bit more strategic with how they deploy their capital. We've actually also been very successful as well under the current government. So in fact, even more successful in terms of getting grant funding under the current government. But do you know that it is for a lot of people much harder?
Yeah.
Is that because they are looking to deploy that capital in a certain area of the market rather than being a bit broader with it, which perhaps they were before?
So I think there's multiple reasons. One of them, you sort of hit the nail on the head. They are being more strategic in the areas that they are funding money into. Another area is they are really looking to bring on, the government is looking to bring on private capital at the same time. So one of the grants we've won is the government will give us X as long as a private capital venture, so not VC, gives us 2X. So give us a third of the funding, or at least 2X. So there's nothing stopping a VC from giving us 10X. See, we give them shares in our company. So nothing comes for free.
Not. How have you found the appetite for that in the private capital market?
For us, as an investment?
Yeah.
As in, we are sometimes we have previously been considered quite a risky business because VCs, like, they're there to make money. If you have like a SaaS platform that's able to like scale very easily and has already got customers, and it's like one customer, like a business being sort of couple of $100,000 contract, that's pretty great, right? We are a B2B2C company. We sell our devices normally through housing developers, and then the end customer is then obviously anyone who lives in the home, you guys, me, etc. You can also buy us direct from our website. Wow. So sometimes VCs kind of get the wrong end of the stick. Just if you look at our website, we seem very consumer facing. That's because we are. Our end user is a consumer. We have to be very visual. We have to be very good at communicating like what our product does, why people should want it in their homes. Because if you go to a big house company and say, oh, well, you can get the system in your house. Well, what is it? Like, to the house buyer, I need to understand what it is. So that's why we come across very consumer focused, and we put the consumer at the front of everything that we do. But our main business is selling direct to house builders, electricians, hotels as well.
Right. Interesting. We're speaking to a founder of another sort of hardware clean tech company who've had, I think it's different products entirely, but similar journey in trying to differentiate their sales channel and their ideal customer versus like the specifiers and the merchants and the builders versus the end consumer, the end customer. And that was, they almost found like what one market was sort of counterintuitive to the other almost. I think they've ended up, as it seems that you've done, going much more towards the specifiers and the builders, the house builders ultimately. So you partnering with them directly?
We partner with house builders directly, yes. As in one customer, like a home owner, might be worth Y in terms of value. But if you go directly to a house builder, they've maybe got or a developer, they're developing a project with, say, 2,000 flats or 2,000 homes. That's 2,000 times the value. And then it's one customer to mainly support initially for the install. You train up their electrical engineering team if they want, because they'll be doing the direct install themselves. Our product has been designed to be DIY retrofittable. So it's super, super easy for these housing developers to put it in. But then when you have the customer end user market, there are people who think that they're good at DIY who aren't so good. And we obviously have lots of like supporting videos on our YouTube channel. So anyone who's interested, please go and check those out. You'll see just how easy it can be to install our device in your home. It directly replaces existing light switches. So we designed it to be as like easy to use and easy as adoptable as possible for end consumers, which then just means for businesses, housing developers, it's just so much easier than sort of legacy systems.
No, I think I've watched that exact video, and because I'm renovating my house at the moment, so I was thinking exactly that. Okay, that looks great. Let's do it. So you may well be getting an order from your.
Well, fantastic. Well, drop me an email after, and I'm sure we can sort out a special Will-specific discount.
Now we're talking special rates. I like this.
So we kind of talked about where you were in the early stages of the business, you and peers, a sort of founding team. Was there any point in which scaling kind of got harder than you expected? Was that in a particular area? Was the product team, the sales team, was it regulation? Were there any sort of areas or times at which you felt that was really, really difficult?
I think something that Piers talks about a lot is that life, whatever it is, be it professional or personal, you always have these ups and downs. And something that sort of really can separate sort of great leaders can be the fact that you kind of don't let those struggles get to you. So there have been big wins and there have been difficult times, but I don't necessarily look back at those as really volatile moments. Like a problem like will arise and you go, okay, that's just a fun new challenge to tackle. With a bit, as in we are now a revenue generating company. We like properly launched the product in October, so only a few months ago. But before that, it's hard to raise money. Would be probably the biggest pain, and I think that most founders who haven't been lucky and being able to like leave Apple as like SVP of AI and walk into like Founders Fund and raise 100 million pre-seed to do something like that. Like those people, yeah, they have those experiences, they have the network, etc. But being in Europe, being in the UK, it's a little bit harder. But it's just one of those things. You focus in on the problem at hand and you do it. Things I think that we've been very lucky with are sort of Piers has got decades now of experience building companies and keeping them going. He built a very successful telecoms company, exited out to private equity. But you don't do that if you don't know what you're doing. There have been hardware challenges, had to file patents, we've had to be really innovative, but that's what makes companies really special. It's like the general sort of mentality in our company, I think, is like, okay, there's a problem, so what? We'll overcome it. You can't beat physics, but you can skirt around like the laws of physics. You can play around with them. You can. I don't want to say cheat, but you can. you can be clever with how you do things technically. And when it comes to things like hiring, etc., we've been very lucky to have some great networks. Leveraging my Imperial network a lot. I think about 30 or 40% of the Tewke technical team is either Oxbridge or Imperial. So we've got a really strong technical team. Saying that like some of our saying Oxbridge or Imperial kind of like makes out as if all the other people aren't just as strong. It's just like the easy metric to sort of show like people from Bristol, Nottingham, etc. Bath, like incredible engineers, right? It's just because you went to a fancy. In fact, during the interview processes, often you find that people who've gone to really fancy universities can just be a bit up themselves and overly confident and not actually nearly as like deeply technically capable.
Right.
So that's then where things like the interview process is very, very important, technical challenges, etc.
Yeah. It's interesting you say about Piers' experience, and I think prior entrepreneurial kind of startup scale up experience. It's so true. I think having been there and gone in those shoes and trodden that path is invaluable experience. We get that from all of the founders we speak to. That is something that informs their journey, and I think is important to hire for in that early team, because I think there's a lot of times where people think that joining a startup or scale up is really exciting, but actually sometimes, as you say,
but it is exciting.
Yeah. But the reality of it, you need to have the right mindset. I think you need to be able to operate with a high level of ambiguity. You need to be able to kind of perform a U-turn. We've been working on something for a while and then maybe it needs to get killed or whatever it is. But, it's just a certain type of personality that really thrives in that environment. And we've seen companies kind of hire people thinking that it was going to work, like great on paper, but 6 months in, it's a cultural mismatch. This is just not going to work in this environment.
Yeah. So I think one of the greatest things to look for, especially when having a smaller company, so anything less than around 30 people, you're really looking for people with really high autonomy, people who can just get on and do stuff themselves. They don't need someone to tell them what to do. They will go and find the work. And then people who are really hungry just to learn as well. We didn't know many areas of the business about how to do stuff, right? We didn't know much about OLED screens. Now we've got really, really good knowledge on OLED displays in our company. Lots of things around like sensing, how do you sense volatile organic compounds, etc. Like we built that knowledge in-house. The reason we built that knowledge in-house is because we're like, what are the things from our user interviews and research that people really are looking for in a product and capabilities? Okay, well, it's hard, but like it's people who kind of shrug their shoulders when you realize that the problem's going to be hard. Cool, let's go and tackle that problem and smash it. Like and resilience. Like, I think practicing being told no by someone. The easiest example, right, is like, I don't know, if you're a girl or a guy and you ask someone out and somebody says no, the first time it really hurts. And then, I don't know, a month later you say, you meet someone new and like, I really like you. We go out on date. And they're like, no, it's okay. Is it me? What's the problem? It's like, you learn and it sort of builds up resilience. Now that's just a really basic example, but like in life, there are so many ways of like building up that resilience. It's not taking it to heart. It's okay. That's the situation. I respect it. I understand it. Now, how do I move forwards? And going from there.
How have you balanced specifically some of the kind of our technical challenges with the limited budget that you've talked about? Because that must be some of the, you referenced Apple at the start of the call. You know, these big companies that have got almost infinite budgets to put into R&D, put it into product design, etc. And you, as a sort of scrappy startup, scale-up, you haven't got that, right? So how do you balance that?
You just got to be super smart. You've got to be really strategic. You can't just be going, let's just try this for the sake of it. Like, give it a little bit of thought. Just take that extra 5 minutes to go, like, okay, what is that going to be the best way? Build, like, the expensive software is very cheap to test with. So this is mainly around hardware. Like, hardware takes time to make. Hardware costs money because you've physically got to buy supplies, manufacturing processes, etc. Just build it in your head. Actually go through that process. Sketch it out. Think about it. Like, pen and paper, basically free. Yeah, okay, it takes a bit of time, but making the thing as well takes time. You can really iterate very quickly. It's by building things in your head, having conversations with other smart, cracked people to get there. And also, just for me, I'm very lucky. I have a great group of friends, people I've met. I guess I've put myself out there, tried to network quite hard. I have like a good phone book of people that I feel like I can reach out to, and who I also know and have done in the past have reached out to me for advice. Just picking up a phone, dropping someone a WhatsApp message, just doing that. Obviously, be careful with social capital. Don't just go messaging, I don't know, someone that you met to ask for advice on something that you could probably ask Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude for. Be sensible with it, be strategic with it, but don't necessarily shy away from asking people for help. I think it's something that it's probably a skill that we've probably lost. As in sort of the modern age, people are a bit more like, oh, no, I've got to act like I know everything all the time. Sit down, try and learn something, read a book, ask Gemini, etc., etc. You can get a lot.
I agree. It's really refreshing and I think it's a maturity thing. I do think people learn to admit when they don't know something and just be transparent about the situation they're in. But I think that's refreshing, and I think that can help a lot in a company at your stage from just being transparent about where you're at and the challenges.
Yeah, I think I don't know how many people are going to be sharing or feel like they're scared to ask people for help and advice. A really, really simple way to like train yourself to become better at this, and it's completely free, is just to be like, just walk around. I don't know, I live in London. Just walk around London. Just ask someone for advice and like directions on how to get somewhere. Just that, like, just approaching a completely random person. Asking like, how do I get to the Greggs? How do I get to the McDonald's? I think there's a McDonald's around here. I don't know. Where's the Tate Modern? Someone will give you advice. They go, I don't know. Or they go, I know where it is. And that, like, it's a very simple, like, little practice exercise. I've not actively practiced that. I just know that a lot of people I am friends with struggle to ask even for directions. And that has then, you kind of see them then not asking for advice or like help on other things. I am very confident. Like, my parents brought me up to be like, no, just ask people. Like, if you don't know where to go, just ask. I think that's a pretty basic, simple way of just like learning that like very basic life skill.
Yeah. Got to flex that muscle a little bit and get used to asking it. That's the thing, right? People don't do it often enough, and therefore they get scared about it.
Yeah.
So in terms of moving to sort of a bit more of the sort of hiring that you've done, obviously you started with a great little team, and you've done some hiring since then. But, was there sort of one hire that has really changed either the sort of trajectory of the company, or has enabled you or peers to focus on what you should be doing? Because one of the things that we often see with these sort of stories is the founders become the chief of effing everything, because they can, right? You can just turn your attention to it. Don't worry about it. I'll just do that bit. I'll be ready to hire anyone. I can do that. But you're only one human being. There's only so many hours in a week, and you've got outside commitments. Was there a hire that achieved that for you or peers, or indeed, this is someone that has really changed what we're doing now?
Yeah. So when you're small, every hire that you make should be making you feel that, oh my God, this is a level up for the company. We're now at the stage where that doesn't necessarily happen each time. The last time it probably happened was probably about 6 months ago. And it just was a big shift change in the professionalism of the company, the way that we did internal processes, etc. But yeah, in the first couple of years, I can look back at times where I've shrieked with excitement because there was a technical challenge that we thought we weren't going to overcome. And you get a phone call at like 10 o'clock at night because someone's been like tackling this challenge whilst like on the train back to see their parents for the weekend or something. And they've suddenly got the thing working. It's something that Piers and I spoke about on like a little podcast that we did, which is on our YouTube channel. Like, yeah, there are some hires that completely changed the game for us. And that's really, really important. If you are a small team, small family team, you've got like 3 or 4 of you and you're looking to hire a new person and that 5th person, and you're just like, is this going to access? Is this going to like completely change? Is this going to be in a capability that we just do not have? If the answer is no, then don't hire that person, I would probably say. But if then try and get them in.
No, I think you're right. You know, when you're small, each hire should be making an untold difference to the business, 100%. I think in reality, not many companies achieve that quite as often as they'd like to. Was there one, though, to kind of push
one
you on
person?
Yeah.
There is.
Okay.
There is. And on the YouTube podcast that Piers and I did internally, we speak about this. We're not saying who it is. We know.
They know.
We don't want them to be pinched. Yeah, but for that was for me one person. But like that was really early days, right? But like we've continued to do that. And like by saying this, I don't want to make it sound like other people in the company haven't like given us that thing. Like there was just this one thing, and we were just like, we built everything around this like one idea, and it hadn't been made possible at this point.
Right.
And we got it.
Good.
And that was for me
Game changing.
Yeah, it was a big game changer. But like there have been so many other game changers who have come along. But
that's great.
That was just my personal one.
That's good. And then was there a role that perhaps in hindsight you hired too late? And if so, what was the function or what was the role that you actually thought 6 months ago, this would have been amazing. Why didn't we do this?
Yeah, that person.
Yeah.
This person that does exist.
That would have made a difference. I would have put us just 6 months earlier.
And was that on the technical side? I don't want to push you too much.
That was technical person. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that type of person, this type of business is really important to get right early on.
I think technical talent is much more important than the other talent. Maybe that's coming from the engineering side of things. Yeah. Like an engineer can learn how to do sales. An engineer can learn how to do marketing. An engineer not necessarily marketing. Yeah, you can understand marketing. But 4 years of computer science at Cambridge or MIT, that can't just be learned by like just really sitting down and really learning and sort of going out and talking to people. You can't replace 4 years working for someone like Meta on like AI infrastructure. Like I think there's it's very often people in the business world massively undervalue how important the technical people are. And like you always see like the really cool big tech companies are never just like 2 business people sort of sitting together being like, let's just hire some people, and they don't understand the technology. Like all of those companies, if you look at the Magnificent Seven, they all have people right from day one who had really good technical understanding. And that's like grained through the business. And what's really interesting is if you look at businesses that were founded on those principles, who then lost them, those companies are screwed or really struggle. So Boeing is a really, really good example. The CEO, the CTO, the COO, etc. for, 30, 40 years of the company's life, they were all either like really good engineers. That was what they were. They were engineers first and business people second. Now it's run by McKinsey and people who are just like in the business. And yeah, they built stuff and they were, they did a software business somewhere and they sold a load of whatever. But they don't understand, they don't appreciate the importance. And those companies that all built on the underlying tech. Yeah. And that's what's super, super important in these companies. Salespeople are a dime a dozen. Yeah. Shake a stick and people.
You could have an army of the best salespeople in the world, but if you've got a cruddy product, it's pointless. So
well, then again, a really good salesman is the one that can sell the turd. That's you want. Yeah, this is a little. I can't remember where I heard this. Like, you don't want to hire a salesperson from a company like let's say Apple with a great product. Like 90% of the work for the salesperson is done by the product. You want to be hiring the person who's managed to sell loads of stuff for a really terrible thing. You want that salesperson. That's who you want.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like it. And then have you made any hires that perhaps on paper you and Piers felt was maybe a bit risky for any reason, because they were expensive, or maybe you felt the company wasn't quite ready to hire that type of person because of the journey, the stage you were at?
No, as in if we thought that someone was going to be too risky for the business, we wouldn't hire them. We have hired people who were like, for us at the time, that's expensive. We had to really sit down and like understand what was the net value they were going to be bringing. And like, I don't know, if someone's 60, 70% more expensive than someone else, like, are they going to be doing 2-3 times the amount of work or output, I should say, not necessarily just like bum time on seat, but like actual output. Yeah. And we've taken that risk once or twice and it has paid off dividends. But I guess you keep an closer eye on them. If you're not seeing that value, that net add,
Absolutely.
then it wouldn't work.
Yeah. And I don't want to use the term bad hire, because I think when companies are scaling, especially in the early stages, you might make some hires that, you maybe can't foresee culturally if it's definitely going to be the right fit, and you don't necessarily 100% know what this person's going to be like when they sit in that seat. But have there been any bad hires? And if so, what's the emotional and commercial impact for you guys personally, but also, of course, as a business?
Yeah. No, we've messed up. Like, hands up. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We messed up. I think only once is the only time I think I can see that. We hired someone great on paper, seemed good value for the company. Technically, they turned out to be a bit misleading, and they also turned out to be an unpleasant individual, not a good cultural fit. And they were, they're no longer with us.
And have you changed your internal process to hiring after that hire, out of interest? Did it impact you in that way?
I think, we've made the technical interviews now just the technical process a bit more rigorous. We've also learned a lot as well. So we're now able to understand like people's technical abilities better. Like this was 4 or 5 years ago now. It was really was in the early days of the company. And then, we're now bigger as well. So we can put people in front of more people. We trust each other to like, more sense check, more like, it's just a vibe check. What people like.
Yeah. No, good stuff.
What part of selling into this market, we talk about, sales and the importance of it. What part of selling into this market takes longer than outsiders think, or perhaps took longer than you guys thought when you first set out on this journey?
Yeah. So setting out on this journey, I hadn't appreciated how long the sales cycles were. Like, because I'm someone who likes to get stuff done. Like, I will just push through. Like, other people aren't necessarily as incentivized to do that. My understanding is that like in the US, you can actually you can push through a multi-million-dollar deal literally on 1 call or 2 calls. And I know people now who have done that, even when the product isn't even ready and like fully functional yet. They're like, okay, well, it will be done by, and they'll be like, we get that we're a risk. It's much more risk accepting culture in the US. In the UK, we don't have that. And Europe, we don't have that. So this is where having a really good sales team is important. So earlier I kind of was like, you can teach, like anyone can really do sales. Anyone who is able to have a conversation and like associate personably with someone else, I think can probably do sales. Yeah. And if you really sort of stick your head down and really get to the nitty gritty of what people want to do. But there are people who are better and people who are worse. So it's really, really important to make sure that those nucleuses within your company who are in sales, first of all, people. And we're very, very lucky. Like our head of sales, an amazing guy, lovely to work with, gem of a person, really good at understanding how people think and like understanding what the pain point is for that developer, that end customer, etc. And then playing to that. But the thing that sort of shocked me was then the sales cycles. Like he's great. He's got a great contact, but like little black book, as it were, of contacts. Incredibly well networked. This is another thing that I think people need to really think about is in technical hiring, you're looking at like, what can that person do today? Like, obviously when it comes to sales hiring, you're looking at like what the person is. Are they good at understanding the product? Are they charismatic? But also like, how well networked are they? Are they bringing loads of people, like phone numbers, email addresses into your company, like warm contacts, people that they've got like 5, 10, 15 year long relationships with who trust them. And that's really, really important as well. I guess it's kind of like if you're looking for like a co-founder in a business, like does that person, are they able to bring more than themselves to it?
Yeah.
Do they have a great network? Do they have great experience? Like it's not just the person, it's like their wider bubble. And in sales, that is obviously super, super important. And like super valuable. And I say we've been very lucky. We've made a product and we have a company culture that people want to work for and work with. So I guess that kind of makes our job
start.
easier to hire people who are good and have those contact lists, are super charismatic, super good at understanding people's pain points. And it's
What is it about? So you're saying the sales cycle is longer than you're expecting. Is that due to? So I mean, I was chatting to CEOs in water recently, and like this. I don't know if you're familiar with that industry at all, but there's the AMP cycles in water notoriously long and slow and full of kind of legislation and red tape. Is it that? Is it obviously not the same processes, but is it a bureaucratic process? Is that what's taking it long, or is it because of the size of the project? Like, what in particular made it so long?
It's the size of the projects, I think. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not in sales. If I had to be tomorrow, like, I would sit down, I'd work it out and get on it. That being said, I've ended up accidentally selling into some of our biggest customers. But I guess that's because I always talk super passionately about it, and I know the system inside and out. But the sales cycles, I didn't realize would be sort of 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months long. For the big developments, right?
Yeah.
This is when you're talking about like thousands of units to someone, or to a company. Like, they're going to have their internal processes. How you got to find like someone who's going to be like your internal champion at that company. It's new tech. People in the UK and Europe are like, what is this? They're a bit more hesitant. We're not like the Americans who will just go, holy cow, that's incredible. They get it. It's a completely different mentality. And it's something that I think we should have more of. Like, there's so much like Debbie Downer talking of the UK. Like, we have the best research facilities in so many different areas in the UK.
Yeah.
We are just terrible at commercializing it. We always talk stuff down. It's like, you go to America, you tell someone your idea, and they're like, oh my God, you could say, here's 50 reasons why you're the best person to do it. Talk to someone in the UK and they'll be like, yeah, well, it's hard to raise money. And like, are you the right person? Like Google or Microsoft or Amazon do that? Or like BioNTech do that? And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, where's this like energy? Come on, let's bring that energy to the game. Like, we have incredible talent, but we're just so like polite and shy and scared to like shout about ourselves.
Yeah, it's not English, is it, to do that?
It's not English, but we should okay, be humble, but like when the time is right, go for it, take a risk. Like, saying, we should bring in history and it gets darker, but like as a nation, the UK took a lot of risks. Yeah, we did horrific things historically around the world, but as in risk takers went out there and they invested in sending ships to explore outside of the known mapped world for the UK. Look at the Vikings. They like took risks and like set sail and they sort of end up in Greenland. Like, what happened? I don't know. Somewhere deep down it's still there. Yeah, but one of the things that really upsets me, sorry, this is deviating massively from the question, but it's like, whenever I open up LinkedIn, I don't know, if you scroll for like more than a minute, you'll end up seeing someone's like, this thing in the UK, and we're just like, oh, everyone's leaving to Dubai, and the UK is terrible and the tax system is blah, blah, blah. Like, anyone can whine and anyone can complain. Like, I can complain about anything all day long. And like my colleagues, like, they'll tell you that I can be the negative person who's sort of like, what's the problem here? Like, why? Like, but I'm always trying to find a solution. That's just not a mentality problem that the Americans have. If you go to like American LinkedIn in inverted commas, we'll have everyone being like, yeah, we just did this and I've got no money to do this, but like, we're going to change the way that drugs are discovered. We're going to change it. Yeah. And they create this environment of positivity, and it's just infectious. And that is why, like, you don't get that anywhere else apart from Silicon Valley, I don't think. Like, I hope London blossoms and turns into this, but I will always try and like just flip it on the head. If you ever see someone like being negative about the UK, just be like, actually, we've got so much going for us. Just point out all the positives. Stop trying to look at the negatives. Look for the positives. You wouldn't look for the negatives in your partner. Look for the positives in your partner. Just like,
Good life
turned into a live podcast for a minute. I quite enjoyed that.
Oh, no.
That was good. I enjoyed that. It was great.
Was there any,
but
last question on with the commercial lens, was there any type of customer that turned out to be a distraction?
No, I don't think so. At the scale that we've been, like, we've only had like proper customers for the last couple of months, right? Actually selling. Every customer, you're just like, oh my, like, actually, that's not true. Lots of customers just have a really breeze install. Sometimes you get a customer like, oh my God, like, how, like, what is going on here? And you learn so much. We've not had like any customers that we have been a shop, we've learned so much from customers. There've been times where you've got really, and then actually go, wow, like the level of learning that you suddenly get compressed that could have taken a year into literally half a day or two or a day is crazy. I think some customers, I guess there have been customers where we've kind of chased to try and get across the line and haven't ended up being a sale. Like you learn from that as well.
Yeah.
And I think we're pretty good at sniffing out when something's going to be a good use of our time or not, and converting a sale. But
That's good.
Yeah, and I think, you guys, you're, not long in the tooth by any means, but you're further down that journey. I think when a business is early on in their journey, somebody says yes to you, it's like, woof, the tail is wagging. I'm going to get this deal done.
Yeah.
Where actually, sometimes you can spend a lot of time with stuff. You think, I shouldn't have gone down this path. I have, but I don't know why I did, but I shouldn't have. But that's a very easy mistake to make.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is just to like properly suss out as quickly as you can. Like, is this someone who's just like being nice and polite and sort of leading you along or not? This is like coming back to it. It's another thing of like the Americans was good nanny.
Yeah.
The British would be like, oh yeah, it's really nice. And they're never going to part with their cash.
Bring you along.
They might never part with their cash, but like, and they'll just be like, kind of like, oh yeah, we'll do it. It's just because we don't want to be rude or mean. It's like, no, it's like the value is being like, no, and here's why. No, we're a house builder and our houses aren't worth enough for us to put them in. Like, we're a really cost-conscious construction company, not for us. Rather than, oh yeah, it's really cool. We'd love to be able to put it in. Okay, sure, you'd love to, but like, are you going to? Yeah, it's like, no, it's working that out.
You need that directness for sure. And then from the sort of more of a, yeah, exactly. I know, all good. And then from a sort of more, I guess, a founder perspective and lens, what did you have sort of beliefs around what a startup was and what they are? And now you've gone through that journey, very much a scale up now, which is great, but you've completely changed your mind on what those sort of previous beliefs may have been.
The honest answer is I don't know. I can't remember back to what my mentality and my view on startups was 6 years ago. It's probably been harder than I thought it was, especially in the UK.
Really fair. Yeah, really fair.
I think one of the things, like, I don't want to just keep on being like, America, America, America. I've actually only been to the US a couple of times.
Sounds like you're going to move down.
And it's not necessarily somewhere. Sorry, what?
I was just saying, it sounds like you're going for a move there. You're going to be opening up Tewke USA.
Oh, well, as in, yeah, we've got a product launching there in the next few months. Sorry, what was the question? I've had a complete mind fart.
No, you were just sort of saying that with 5 or 6 years ago, you can't really remember if you hadn't a view, but it's been harder for sure, which I think is really fair and common.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I got distracted by my sidetrack, which is going to come full circle. The perception is that raising money is really easy. And the reason for that is because America is so good at shouting about it. Yeah. And all you hear about is company ABC did raise this amount, company XYZ raised this amount. And you'll find that they're normally always American companies. And that skews your perception. Like, oh, well, if they're doing it in America, we can do it here in the UK. We've got just as good talent, blah, blah, blah. No, you can't. Is the short answer. That is why, like, the great accelerators, etc., are all out in the US. And they are the ones that can turn stuff around. It's all about networks, etc. It's going to be harder to raise money unless you are like a founding team member of somewhere like, I don't know, look at the US people like Fuse Energy. CEO Alan, incredibly like bullish leader, like get stuff done, no messing around. Don't know what their valuation is now. It's about $5 billion. Yeah. He was one of the founding engineers at Fuse. He was one of the founding engineers at Revolut, right? Like that is a loss of like, he's an incredibly talented person, incredibly like, business savvy, incredibly good technically, but like that elevated him above all the other great business savvy technical people. Being like, I've seen it go from like nothing or very little at Revolut to a 60-something billion dollar company, I believe.
Yeah.
Unless you're like in those situations, you're really going to struggle. And I believe that they had a pretty, I don't know if it was a pretty easy time, but they definitely had an easier time than the vast majority of UK companies to raise money.
Yeah. They're doing it in a good time as well, which obviously helps. What would you give piece of advice to a founder 12 months behind you? What advice would you give them?
Well, if they're 12 months behind me and they've been going for 5 years, keep going. Like, just remember there are troughs and there are peaks. Like keep going. Perseverance can be key, but also be realistic as well. Be like, understand if it hasn't been working, then maybe like look at pivoting. Like we pivoted internally. We were trying to do some stuff that we know we'll try and do. We focused in on certain areas. And that's a thing to be celebrated rather than a thing to be sort of
Absolutely.
poo-pooed, as it were. Yeah. Hope you're having fun. Give me a call. Reach out on LinkedIn. Always down for a chat. Let's go for a coffee. I wanna meet you. I want to have a conversation with you. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing.
I think having fun
Like
along the
it.
way is so important.
Yeah. Of course it is.
So just looking ahead to the next 12 months, like what does that look like for Tewke?
Yeah. So new customers, going international, new products. And so we obviously have our flagship product, which is Tap, which you can see here. But we also have got a new product coming called Tap One, which is something that we've worked really closely with housing developers on to sort of help bring down the cost for certain rooms in the house. You don't need an OLED touchscreen in like your bathroom. You don't need an OLED touchscreen like a walk-in wardrobe. So still having that sort of super capable device, super easy to use device, a super beautiful device at a more accessible price point for more people. Obviously, there's a little bit of like functional limitation, but like vast. But like, what were the things that customers were really enjoying about our main product? Like, can we deliver that to people and especially housing developers, so they can give like this really premium experience to them, to their end customers and help them with their sales cycles, right? If you walk into a house and you've got a crummy little plastic light switch, okay, well, that's fine. It's like you look at the rest of the house, but like if you walk into a home and it's going to be saving you 30% off your energy bill, it's going to be helping you like have a warmer, brighter, happier home. It's going to be giving you insights into what your air quality is like. Like that's a massive level up to your quality of life, and that's something that's going to be part of your home and for years to come.
Yeah.
So doing some new stuff moving some sales over to the US. We've got some great conversations ongoing in the GCC area, shipping more product to Europe. We've got some stuff that's happening, which I can't really talk about publicly, which is super, super exciting in Europe as well. But yeah, we've just lots of new stuff going on, new features on the device and going international.
Out of interest, Rowan, do you feel that maybe not now, but in the future, just thinking it from a commercial standpoint, there could actually be a bit of a narrative there to say, well, we now truly believe that a house that has our systems in are worth 3% more or something like that. Do you envisage that could happen and could actually be a sales line that you might use? Right.
It's not a future vision. That's happening today. Like the construction companies, the developers that we're talking to, their sales team are going, wow, we can bump the price up on this. Or it means that they can actually sell for the asking price, because I know that quite a lot of developers are having to go under asking price at the moment. So it just massively helps shift those assets off their book. People love it. People really sort of have a really good experience when they use it. And it's a product that it looks pretty sexy online, but man, like people are like grinning ear to ear whenever they use it for the first time. This is just like, it just levels it up. It's one of those things that you have to like see and hold and touch to really understand. I think like people speak like the iPhone Air when that recently came out. They're like, okay, it looks quite cool and sexy on camera, but like get down to the Apple Store and like actually hold it in your hand, and it feels it's like next level up. I didn't go for the iPhone Air, but yeah, it's it didn't have the battery life for me. But yeah, it's one of those things. Our devices, they're cool, they really are. But like I can't stress enough, like trying somehow to get your hands on with one of them. Come to an event that we're at. You can look online, you can speak about a lot of our stuff on like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Come along to an event that we're sort of showcasing our tech at and come and try it out.
Will do. Fantastic. Exciting times ahead, Rowan.
Very exciting.
The beginning starts now.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Right.